What if I told you there's a timeless economic blueprint, one that promises businesses that can stand up to anything, recessions, market crashes, you name it? And what if I told you it's not from some modern business guru, but from an ancient text? Okay, let's really dive into this, because according to what we're looking at today, we've been sitting on a goldmine of divine financial strategy.
So, this is the big, provocative question at the very heart of our explainer today. Most of us see the Bible as a spiritual guide, and of course it is. But the argument here is that it's also packed with systems and real world strategies for financial growth that have been hiding in plain sight. And this quote right here, this really gets to the core of it all. The idea isn't about just having more faith, it's about actually applying the specific financial principles God has already laid out. Lasting wealth, from this perspective, is directly, and I mean directly, tied to following his instructions.
So let's be super clear about what we're exploring. This isn't just about wishful thinking or prayer alone. We're looking at the Bible as a source for actual systems, strategies, and even divine laws that govern financial breakthrough. It's being presented as a practical, hands-on guide, not just a book of spiritual ideas.
So when we say economic blueprint, what do we really mean? Well, think of it like this. It's a framework of rock-solid truths for building wealth and stability. These are principles that are supposedly just as powerful and relevant today as they were thousands of years ago. All right, let's get into the good stuff, the specifics. The source material we're looking at identifies 4 distinct business models that are anchored in Scripture. The claim is that these aren't based on passing trends, but on timeless, divine truth. So let's break them down one by one. First up, we've got a model that's built on a principle you've probably heard of before. Multiple streams of income. The source points straight to Ecclesiastes 11:2, which basically says to invest in 7, maybe even 8 different ventures, because you never know what disaster might strike. This isn't just modern business advice. This is ancient, divine diversification. And hey, this is not a new concept. Just look at the Proverbs 31 woman. She was basically a one-woman conglomerate. She was importing goods, trading, farming, and even manufacturing clothing. The modern application here is so clear. Don't just sit on your God-given talents. That gift you have for teaching, turn it into a mentoring service. That expertise you fought for, turn it into a course people would love to buy. Okay, the second model. This one gets into a really foundational asset. We're talking about land and real estate. In the scriptures, land isn't just dirt. It represents inheritance, it represents identity, it represents a covenant. It's presented as one of the most fundamental assets you can have. I mean, this promise to Abraham ties blessing directly to land. And you have to ask, why? Well, the idea is that land is a fixed, limited asset. Humans didn't create it. This apparently makes it God's perfect model for building a legacy that truly lasts for generations. Now, for our third model. This one shifts from tangible things you can touch to something completely intangible. We're talking about wisdom and knowledge. This is all about monetizing the unique wisdom, the insight, and the experience that God has given you. It's about finally understanding that what you know has incredible real-world value. Think about it this way. Your life lessons, your personal testimony, that can literally be a product. Have you overcome a massive challenge, figured out a tough career path, learned a thing or two about raising a family? In this framework, that experience is a type of currency that never loses its value. Trust me, the world will pay for the hard-earned wisdom that you possess. And finally, we've come to our 4th biblical business model, and this one might actually surprise you. It's transportation and what's called the economy of movement. Now, that might sound kind of ordinary, but the argument here is that it's profoundly important. The economy doesn't just run on money, it runs on motion. You can see a direct line from Scripture to today. Remember Joseph? He used carts to save his entire family from a famine. The Holy Family's journey to Egypt protected the Messiah. In both stories, movement created opportunity. So that car sitting in your driveway, it isn't just a ride. It could be a rideshare business or a delivery service. The key idea here is so powerful. Stagnation leads to scarcity, but movement leads to multiplication. Okay, so now you have the 4 models. But hold on. Before you run off and start planning your empire, the source issues a really critical warning. There are 4 internal obstacles, spiritual landmines, if you will, that can completely sabotage everything. And that's the million-dollar question, right? If these business models are supposedly never fail, what on earth could go wrong?
Well, the answer, it seems, has nothing to do with the outside world.
This slide shows a really crucial contrast. We spend so much time worrying about the external threats, recessions, competition, the market, but the claim here is that the real dangers are internal. They're the spiritual chains we sometimes put on ourselves. So let's quickly walk through these because they're huge. First, uncontrolled debt. It's described as a spiritual chain that makes the borrower a slave. Second is just plain laziness, because as we know, faith without works is dead. Third, having the wrong motive. The argument is that God simply won't fund a business that's built on ego. And finally, number 4, a failure to give, which is like declaring that you, not God, are your ultimate provider. So we've identified the blueprint and we've spotted the pitfalls. So what is the ultimate path to true, lasting prosperity according to this framework? Where do we go from here? It really boils down to these 3 actionable steps. It all starts with aligning your heart and checking your motives. Then you've got to move beyond just praying and start actually applying the wisdom found in Scripture. And finally, it demands disciplined action. That's faith with works, to overcome laziness and tackle debt head-on. Real prosperity, it seems, starts with obedience, not just hustle. And we'll end on this powerful thought from C.S. Lewis. The ultimate message of this whole blueprint really seems to be this. If your business is only about making money, you might end up with nothing. But if you aim for a higher purpose, a divine mission, you just might receive more than you ever imagined.